Well, say it with me. Match of the year. Wow. What did we just watch? Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner just played a true epic. The latest ever finish at the US Open, over 5 hours. Just an absolute spectacle of a tennis match. So we're going to break down that, talk about what it means for the future current state of men's tennis. We're also going to look at the semifinal matchups on the men's and the women's, break down those matchups, how they got there, and then we're going to look at who's going to be world number one come Monday on the men's, Carlos or Casper. It's a big battle. Here's the slice presented by PointsBet Canada. Let's get into it. Well, oh man, that match was incredible. Was that not just amazing? I am, like I said, lucky to be in Europe now because I slept through the first set, woke up at like 4 o'clock for the last few, and then it just kept going. So I finished here at 9 o'clock with a cup of coffee and just blown away by the level of tennis that we saw. To me, it's the no doubt match of the year because of the level that these guys both played at. Literally, it was like 3 a.m. in New York. They're both the level of athleticism, shot making that was still going on, grit, drama. It was crazy. So there's been a lot of talk recently about what's good for the sport. Is Nick Kyrgios good for the sport? Well, in my opinion, what's good for the sport is that, the match of the year, in my opinion, was played by two stars who are not part of the big three. They're two young guys, 21 and 19, just absolutely doing battle. So to me, that's good for the sport. And there's also a lot of talk about this match. Is it too late? I see a lot of the Europeans saying it's ridiculous that this match takes so long and it ends up so late in New York. It just kind of ruins everyone's day. And my thoughts on that are, it's kind of like matches like these, when they go 5 hours and they're a night match, they're going to go to 2, 3 in the morning. It's kind of like one of those nights where you go to dinner, maybe with some friends, and then you might go get a drink somewhere else, and then you guys just keep bouncing around. Maybe you're on vacation, or maybe it's just an amazing night out, and the night just keeps getting better the more you do and the longer you go. And then all of a sudden you're like 3 a.m. and you're just like, what is happening? This is just like an amazing night. And then maybe you watch the sunrise somewhere. I don't know. And it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. It ruins your next day too, but it's a night you'll never forget. And I think the special part about these matches is that kind of atmosphere. It feels like all the fans, all the media, and the players are on a journey, and you're just going somewhere special. And I think we should forget about our normal jobs and our lives during these slams when this type of things happen. So that's just my opinion on that. So here's the slice on the semifinals. We're going to talk more about this match. The slice is presented by PointsBet Canada, our friends at PointsBet Canada. So let's show up the matchups here in the semifinals and take a quick look at the odds that PointsBet has right now. So on the men's, we got on the top Karen Khachanov, who took out Nick Kyrgios, versus Casper Ruud, who's trying to become world number one, which would be amazing. So they got Casper as the favorite at that 1.51 to 2.60 for Khachanov. And then they don't even have the odds up yet for Alcaraz and TFO. That's how early we're getting on this review for you guys. And then on the women's, we got Swiatek versus Sabalenka on the top. It's going to be a powerful, powerful affair. They got Swiatek at 1.5 and Sabalenka at 2.65. I like Sabalenka in that match. We'll talk about that in a bit when I break it down, but that's interesting. Caroline Garcia versus Ons Jabeur on the bottom, another awesome matchup. And they got Caroline Garcia as the pretty strong favorite there, 1.63 to 2.32 for Jabeur. So thanks for subscribing. If you want to bet on the tennis, hit the link below. It does help out the slice if you're in Ontario. So let's talk about these matchups. Carlos beats Jannik in 5 hours and 15 minutes. 6-3, 6-7, 6-7, 7-5, 6-3. And the difference, what was the difference? There's so little difference. It seemed like Jannik was going to win this match again for the third time this summer, basically beating Carlos. And I was thinking, wow, that's a huge, huge shift for Jannik if he can beat Jannik or Carlos again in a slam to make his first semifinal of a slam. But just all throughout this match, the reason to me it was like I already said, the match of the year was the athleticism, the ball striking, and the compete level for over 5 hours. It didn't drop. It never got pushy. They never got tired. It's insane. Even when Nadal and Djokovic played that kind of 6 hour Australian Open final, I feel like they were older than these guys, a little older, and they got a lot slower and a lot more pushy. But in this match, like they were still like some of the gets that Carlos was getting in the 5th set or the end of the 4th set, just incredible energy. And I guess that's just the youth. I don't know, but like that's just absolutely nuts. The difference at the end, I think the main thing was Carlos's belief. Obviously, back at Wimbledon, Jannik had that loss where he was up 2-0 on Novak Djokovic and couldn't close it out. Really didn't even get close to closing it out. But I think the titles that Carlos has already won this year, Miami, Barcelona, and the wins he's already had over Djokovic and Nadal, Madrid, those getting over the finish lines is that built up a belief that I don't think Jannik has from this 2022. It's been a decent year for Jannik, but he only has the one title in Umag, and whereas Carlos has Miami, Barcelona, and he's just been deep in a lot of tournaments and beat big guys, like I said. So I think at the end of this match, Carlos just had a bit more belief that I can get over the finish line, where Jannik got tight. You know, he was serving for the match. He even had match point in the 4th set, and he just wasn't, he did not have his top drawer stuff in those tight moments at the end. Never going to call it a choke. There's, people get tight. That's what happens. That's literally, we're separating the top cream from the other top cream just with a hair right now for, why did this match go Carlos's way? And I think that's the only thing I can really put my hand on, because tactics, shots-wise, they both did very well at the things they needed to do well. Obviously, they were both there in the 5th set. And yeah, Jannik, his improved serve under Darren Cahill, you got him a lot of free points. But the other thing I think is Jannik's easy power. I tweeted out, I think Jannik has easier power than Carlos in a way. So I feel like Carlos has to swing harder to get the same amount of power on the ball. And that's kind of almost more sustainable. So when Carlos was not playing as good in the middle and Jannik had the advantage, that's what I felt. I felt like Jannik could access that power that on these quicker courts paid off, right? So he was hitting, his power is flatter. Carlos's power is a bit heavier. The difference between that is just the spin, obviously. So Carlos is just swinging faster up the back of the ball. And on these courts, the flatter ball was better. And it's felt like a lot of times in the neutral rally, Jannik Sinner was able to like wrestle away the advantage in the rally because of his flat power. And then at the end, I think at the end of the match, Carlos was able to just keep his level so high that they balanced each other out. And like I said, I think Carlos found a bit more energy and a bit more belief at the end of the match. So that's all there really was in that match. Not much in it. Amazing match. To me, the match of the year, just unbelievably incredible and cool to watch, especially for somebody waking up in Europe with a nice cup of coffee instead of being at 3 a.m. So I'm happy, feeling good about it. But yeah, seriously, matchups, one of the matchups of the decade. We're going to, 2-2 head-to-head between these guys, and we can all just not wait to see another match. I'm sure. It was just amazing. So Alcaraz moves through to the semifinals where he will play TFO. But before we get there, Khachanov beats Kyrgios. Spoiler alert. Khachanov played upset the party where Kyrgios, we thought it was going to be the Kyrgios party, possibly winning the new U.S. Open. He was the favorite. Khachanov takes him out in that kind of a grungy match, not super high level. Kyrgios came out really flat, but Karen had to tough it out, and Kyrgios started playing better at the end, and Karen just stuck with it. Was really tough at the end. So huge congrats to Karen Khachanov there. And TFO beats Rublev last night. So TFO's level just carried on from the Rafa win. I mean, it was the same type of stuff for me. He just played perfect TFO tennis, serving great, coming forward so nice, so many chop volleys, just really coming at Rublev and making him play, making him pass him. And that's the type of tennis with the all-court game that I think TFO should absolutely be playing. And his first serve was a lot more deadly than it has been in the past, right? 18 aces, 88% win rate on it. So that's elite percent win rate. So huge from TFO. So he's through to the semifinals. Well, he's got the USA faithful crowd going nuts. Prediction. My prediction is Ruud defeats Khachanov. Ruud has returned amazingly well. He did that against Berrettini, who did not really play well. And he can hurt Karen, but I think it will be close and it could be a war. But I think I like Ruud in this one to make the final. And then Alcaraz versus TFO. Alcaraz to me is the better tennis player right now, but it's going to be absolutely electric. We'll see how tired Alcaraz is from what just happened tonight. And TFO is going to have that home crowd energy, but Alcaraz is also a crowd favorite. So I don't really know. All I know is it's going to be electric, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it's going to be an ultra athletic match, and I just hope it's a good one, and I expect it to be. So now the women's. So Swiatek, Iga Swiatek, all we talked about at the beginning of the year was the Iga show. Will it continue? So it's obviously the Iga show has been off the road for this hard court swing, but now she's obviously in the semifinals, and she's really finding her game on the hard court. She takes out Pegula looking very clean, very confident, just looking like her pace is making it through the back of the court very easily. The balls aren't flying on her as much as they were in Cincinnati, where she was complaining about that. So she's looking in good form, but I don't think she has this kind of aura around her anymore where everyone's like, I don't believe I can beat her, right? So I feel like she's a little bit more beatable. Sabalenka beats Pliskova, fairly dominant. Sabalenka was hitting huge, just crushing any second serve. She was basically just crushing winners off of it. So scary. And I think that Swiatek-Sabalenka matchup will be epic. And I'm actually predicting, I think Sabalenka, I'm calling the upset for her. So that's just an insight for me. I think she's got the upset. She's like, to me, hitting bigger than Swiatek, and I just feel like it's Sabalenka's time to like put it together in a major and possibly get it done all the way. And then Garcia beat Coco Gauff, playing the same type of tennis. That's just so money on these courts. Just playing her game, hitting super hard, super aggressive, getting up to balls very quickly, and yeah, just I think her against Jabeur. I'm taking Garcia to win. She is the favorite, the betting odds favorite. But it could be tougher because it is Garcia's first time to the major semifinal. Jabeur was in the Wimbledon final, obviously, didn't win that. So she'll be very motivated, obviously, to make the final. So that Garcia-Jabeur matchup is going to be absolutely fire as well. So all in all, we just have incredible matchups. Swiatek, Sabalenka, Garcia, Jabeur on the bottom. Those are both super intriguing. And then on the top, or on the men's, we got Casper Ruud, Khachanov, less intriguing of a matchup. But what I'm really excited to see, and what I push back against in the legacy media that I've seen, a lot of people are saying, this US Open's faltering without any of the big three or like the real big stars like Kyrgios, who's like very popular outside of tennis, kind of transcends tennis. I'm like, in my opinion, tennis has 1 billion fans. Hopefully all 1 billion are watching this video. But I don't really see tennis getting any bigger. I see it getting deeper and better. And how that doesn't happen is if we just complain whenever there's no big three members there or whatever. So I'm so excited to see how Casper Ruud and Carlos Alcaraz, which we already just did, respond to the pressure of possibly becoming the world number one after the tournament, right? So if Casper and Carlos both make the final, we're just going to have a shootout for the US Open title and the world number one, which would be incredible. And to see these young guys, because Casper Ruud is still very young, battle for like the top of the men's game. It's really cool. And if you don't like that and you don't think that's worth watching or must-see TV for tennis fans, you're crazy. And you're not really helping the sport build, because we don't actually need outside influence or like players to like transcend the sport as much. That's already been done by players like Federer, Serena, Nadal, Djokovic, and the ones that have come before. So tennis is big. It's going to be, I don't see it getting any bigger, but I see it getting amazing, and it still is. So I'm super looking forward to these semifinals. Who's going to handle the pressure? Pressure's a privilege. That's what they say. That's what Billie Jean King's, I can't even think anymore. I'm tired, says. So let's get after it. I can't wait to see what happens, and stay here for the review of the semifinals. Also check out, if you haven't tuned out yet, my interview with Alexis Gallonneau and Gabriel Diallo, two of Canada's new Davis Cup members who are going to be playing in the Davis Cup next week. Sweet interview with them. I'll post it here. And thanks for checking out that video. We'll see you guys very soon back on the channel.